Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Queenie, for those who don't know me, reviewing Love Island season 13 episode 56. Before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe and hit the bell, and leave a comment down below. This video is going to be strictly a recap because what was there to review? What was there to react to? Truly, I had to sit and even watch after some because the episode wasn't really giving us anything. I mean, it's the penultimate is the word, right? It's the penultimate day, so really what's gonna happen? So I'm just gonna read from my notes, y'all. We pick up after Aiden and Priya's dumping. Can you believe, I guess there are things to react to. Can you believe Priya and Aiden on the podcast with Flick Cross? She's the lady who was a correspondent for The Sun, I think. They said they're ready to run things back. Even on After Sun, they reiterate that they want to run things back. Honestly, Priya, this is embarrassing. Because Aiden is going to get whatever he can get from you. And as long as you're offering it up, he will willingly accept. It's not an interest. You're just easy. You're just easy, sister. But okay. Calvin gets emotional thinking about his brother leaving, and he's not saying it's not that I'm sad to see him go, but it's just reflecting on the whole experience. Jasmine is there trying to comfort him and stuff. Guys, I'll be so honest. There was a point where she said, "I love you." She kissed him. He never said it back, and he just looked kind of like, blah. I don't know about y'all, but for me, something is amiss. Still, with these two, something is amiss. I can see them being in the final, obviously. Yeah, obviously they're in the final at this point. I can see them winning and people really rooting for them. But based on what we have seen in the edit, I'm not sure. Something feels like it's a miss for me. Everybody is sad to see Aiden and Priya go, but they're obviously going to see them in a few days. Samar says that they are clearly not as severely disliked because they're still in the villa. We had bigger fish to fry. You're next. And it wasn't even us this time. But anyways, let's get into the next day because all that was left was the girls being happy for Lorenzo for making things official with Yulia, but that felt strategic to a lot of people. I am one of those people. In the morning, they get a text that they are going to be reunited with ex-Islanders. Notably, George was not there. So this supports the narrative that George was actually booted out. But at the same time that happened, he did have a family emergency as well. So everybody kind of used that as the mask, but really he's not allowed to come back to the show. I believe that to be true. Opie says that he questions Tommy's honesty regarding the ex-girlfriend situation, which is why he voted to dump them. Lola says everyone's prioritizing their couple. However, Yulia is too invested in other people's couples. She questions her motives, which is why she votes to dump her and Lorenzo. I'm not surprised. She would have voted them no matter what. She would have found some kind of reason. I will say the reasoning makes sense, but even if it didn't make sense, that was going to be her vote regardless. Tommy thinks that things are a bit one-sided regarding Mika and Samraj. He says that they may not work on the outside because of their distance. Samraj says that there are 2 strong couples here and 3 weak ones. I'm assuming he thinks he's part of the 2 that are strong. Really? Who's the other? Because if you say Jasmine and Calvin, I swear, I swear. That's how you know this villa is run by friendships. And most villas are, but this group of 4 in particular, just peculiar. That's all I will say. Anyways, he says everybody will, be eating their words in 2 years when they're still together. This is the first time this whole 2-year thing is going to come up. And we're going to see Mika's reaction. It's not the best. Next is Robin. She says the last 24 hours has affected her decision. She doesn't fully trust Tommy's confusing story, but ultimately she votes for Mika and Samraj because she feels like he only said I love you because Maya was kind of coaxing it out of him. And we even saw in that episode that Mika was kind of hesitant to say it too, but she said it, and then now they've been saying it since then, but it did kind of feel like it was prompted. It did. Next was Sam. Sam was mute all season, but now he has some smoke for some people. I said, oh, okay. He questioned Samraj. He calls him out, saying that he did not like how he treated Priya. And then he also calls out Tommy, I almost called him Tammy, for cutting someone off before coming on the show. And ultimately, that's who he voted for. I was like, Sam, where was this energy in the villa? He really was calling Samraj out. I said, ooh, I like that. Next was Tina. Tina says that she was considering Simba because of Casa, but believes that he has changed. She felt that Samraj and Kavin were also in the same situation. Like, yes, they moved Matt and Casa, but they have developed a strong connection. So she decides to vote for Tommy for obvious reasons. Chitty did not agree with Jasmine with how she handled the Casa situation. Bringing in Jordan by way of Priya was just not right for him. He also called out their power dynamic. Kavin didn't like that, but there kind of is one. But anyways, he voted for them. Charlene says that Mika and Samraj seem disingenuous, which is why it's hard to believe them as a couple. So if you guys are fake as people, how am I supposed to believe in your relationship? I can hear that understanding. She acknowledged her personal feelings regarding Kavin and Jasmine and says, because I was in it, I can see how different Kavin was. And so I do question his intentions with Jasmine. But ultimately, she did vote for Kavin and Jasmine. Oh, damn. Yeah, she did. She also called out Mika and Jasmine because she was like, you guys were, making fun of me or whatever. And Mika apologized. Jasmine did not. Jasmine says, listen, that's how I act all the time. It is what it is. Jasmine is allergic to accountability. I hope you guys are paying attention. She's very allergic to accountability. Anyways, Ethan says he questions the logistics between Mika and Samraj. He also isn't sure about them being compatible. They say that they will both be in the UK. And I'm just like, that's funny. Well, actually, they say that they'll both be in London. Number one, when is that going to happen? And number two, if you're not both in London and you're just in the UK, I can see that logistics thing being an issue anyways, because Love Islanders always complain, oh, the UK is so big, oh, the long distance, oh, the whatever. I personally have to laugh in long distance. I have to laugh. But I can understand why he's bringing that distance up, because people who are in the UK themselves also complain, but homegirl is staying in Barbados. Interesting. Anyways, they don't like that commentary. They are confused by everybody when they say, I don't know if I believe in it. I feel like it's one-sided. I don't see the compatibility. I think that you're fake. So many reasons they don't believe any single one of them. Alicia's next. She said she didn't like Mika laughing at Priya's job-shaming comment. Mika says it wasn't a laugh of agreement. It was a laugh of like, oh, what is she talking about? So proving again that you don't have a mind of your own, because if you didn't agree with that comment, you would have been able to call it out or just not laugh, but you just be going with the flow. You see how, you know what? Let me know. Okay. Anyways, Finley considered Tommy and Yasmin for obvious reasons, but he ended up voting for Mika and Samraj because they are always in the bottom. Honestly, I would do that too. The public thinks this way. After seeing some things, I think the same. So let me vote for y'all. The sleepover girl, guys, I don't remember her name. But that girl who came in with Chitty, Finley. There was another person too from the sleepover. Tina was her name. Anyways, she decides to vote for Mika and Samraj. And she says that she hopes they prove her wrong. And in 2 years, maybe Mika will have a ring. Mika was like, whoa, slow down. That's too fast. In 2 years. Especially when you start in such an intense situation like this, you would assume that the foundation is there. In 2 years, it would be plausible to at least have a ring. She didn't say married. You could be engaged and then maybe 1 more year to plan the wedding. She was petrified. I said, interesting. Mara praised Lorenzo and Simba for their growth, but she questions Jasmine and Kavin because she's not sure if it's genuine. Kavin thinks that the tests that they've gone through in the villa have brought them together, but she wasn't really questioning that. She was saying, I think that there's things that you guys really need to talk about that you just haven't. And he's like, oh, but we've overcome tests. Yeah, so what? Even in the early days, I was complaining about the fact that they would sweep a lot of things under the rug. So just because you get over it doesn't mean it's been properly dealt with. Then we have Mika. Ooh, who did I mean to write? Martha, maybe? No. Oh no. Anyways, somebody says the couple she would have voted for has already left. And so instead she voted for Tommy and Yasmin, even though they still look perfect to her. Jordan says that he chose Mika and Samraj because they're always in the bottom and he doesn't think that they're compatible. They say that they don't understand the justification. They've been given 57 reasons, but okay. Next, Namibia says that Tommy should have been more honest with the whole ex-girlfriend thing, so that's who she votes for. Sean says that Simba and Calvin have grown from their Casa experience. He says Lorenzo is his boy and he has truly found his person. However, his vote is for Lorenzo and Yulia because they have yet to say, I love you. And this is why the couples do what they do at the end, because if we're basing on compatibility on who has said I love you, everybody's just going to say I love you then next season. Everybody's going to want to be boyfriend or girlfriend. Everybody's going to want to say I love you if that's what people are looking for. I think you should look at which couples are best suited. And you just said Lorenzo and Yulia, like white on rice. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, Shauna Lola, they were going to find anything to put on them. Ellie says her vote is based on things she has seen online. And even though she believes in their love, she votes for Yasmin and Tommy. Martha considers Jasmine and Calvin because Calvin was very different in Casa. And then he switched up when he returned from Casa. And I do agree. The happy-go-lucky, cheery, upbeat person in Casa is not the person we see now post-Casa. This man is in love. This man is back with Jasmine, who he had all these strong feelings for, and he just doesn't look happy. That's concerning to me. It really is. She says she doesn't like Mika and Samraj telling people how to act and then not putting their own preaching into practice. Agreed. I love that she pointed that out. She also said regarding the Priya situation, it was, disheartening to see how they treated her and then how they cuss other people out on how they act. Ultimately, she voted for them, which was the nail in their coffin. They left to go pack on their own. They get a text that they are going to be deciding which other couple is going to be dumped, meaning the top 3 couples are going to the finals. I like that there's only 3 couples in the finals because what is there a point for a 4th? However, what point is there for a 4th? However, why do Mika and Samraj get to choose? No. No. I hate that twist. Absolutely hate it, but okay, child. So on After Sun, people are confused why Lola and Sean have voted for Lorenzo and Yulia, but Ty says Lola wears the pants, so of course, whatever she says goes. I said, it sounded like some people in the audience wanted to boo, but for the most part, people know that that's their dynamic. If Lola says jump, Sean will. He won't even ask how high, he just will. Shakira says she was confused why people were going with the public opinion regarding their votes, but they literally got to see the things that the public was also talking about. So if they're watching back the show, they hear the commentary, it makes sense. They don't get to see every conversation that happens. And still, you don't see every conversation that happens when you're watching the show. But they had greater context. So, I don't know. I didn't get Shakira's rationale there. Tony and Yaz say that at some point, you do have to look in the mirror regarding Mika and Samraj. If everybody keeps questioning you, maybe you're the problem. Thank you. Ty thinks that Maya being on the podcast accelerated the I love you between Mika and Samraj. Maya says she wasn't forcing it. They were clearly dancing on it. So she was just kind of trying to see, are you guys going to say it or what? I do agree that her being there did add the pressure. And they're like, yeah, sure, I love you. Samraj said it first. Mika did still look hesitant. But now she be saying it all the time. So who knows? Tommy says that he still thinks Samraj likes Mika more, especially after the whole friend zone thing. The panel saw it as sketchy that Mika was panicked whenever this whole 2 years thing came up, and I do agree. Everyone says that Tommy's cooked after the whole girlfriend allegations, but here's the thing. Lucinda had the same allegations on All Stars. People were saying that she had a boyfriend on the outside. This boyfriend was her sugar daddy, but she and Sean are still together. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll find his way out of this, sticky situation. Ellie says that she struggled to root for Yasmin and Tommy because even though she loves Yasmin, she doesn't trust Tommy right now, especially because it takes more than 2 weeks to move on from somebody. Maya says, and of course she would say this, considering her dating history, she thinks that it is possible to move on from somebody in 2 weeks. However, what makes it sketchy is how long the application process is. And that I do agree with. I think it was Tommy. He was like, it takes months. So how are you saying you ended things in 2 weeks before coming on the show, but the process itself takes months? Like, Tommy's story just does not make sense. When he gets on the outside, he needs to tighten up. Priya and Aiden say that they expected the public to vote them out. Aiden says it only sunk in at the dinner table that there were other couples stronger than them. At the dinner table? At the dinner table. Aiden, be so for real. Aiden says that Yasmin comment when he said that he would run it back with Yasmin was because the ball was always in her court, not that he would be gunning for her. That still... It's not a nice thing to hear when you say, oh yeah, if this girl wants to say, let's get with it, I'd be with it. While you simultaneously trying to say, oh, I see something here with Priya. We definitely have potential. You know, I'm drawn to her. I'm this, I'm that. So then why is this girl even a factor? Why? Make it make sense. Aiden says that he's good with Priya on the outside now. And Priya says that he never truly wanted to cut things off. So she wants to see where things go. She says she wouldn't have gone to the hideaway, gone on a date, or introduced her family to him if she wasn't truly into him. You only had a say on one of those things. It was not up to you to introduce your family to Aiden. It was not up to you to go on the date. You went to the hideaway. And now people are questioning the whole hideaway situation. Did they actually hook up? Or was she trying to make it look like they hooked up? Because when she was the word that I want is not reflecting, commenting, whatever, on the grafties, she was like, those are my feet. Those are my feet. So if your feet are up, you are still in a sex position. And if you're trying to justify that those are your feet, are you saying I was just faking the tent? Further fueling the game player allegations? Like, it just... The sense ain't sensed with Priya. It just isn't. Priya says her head is telling her that she's mugging herself off, but her heart is drawing her to him. He says that she just can't get enough. And then he pulls her in like this, and you can literally see her be uncomfortable. Like, why would you do that? This man is so forceful, guys. Like, when I said at the beginning of the season, he does and says things that perpetuate rape culture, I'm not joking. Why are you forcing this girl to come into you? And like, she's clearly uncomfortable. Maya had to call it out. She's like, yeah, I think that's too far. Don't do that. Aiden doesn't even see the problem in what he did. Ugh. Anyways, he says the champagne is making him, act a little loose. The champagne. Priya didn't like that comment. Priya says that she clashed with Yulia because they are both opinionated, which is true, but I believe she did not like being clocked by somebody, especially somebody who wasn't her friend. If Jasmine was to say all the same things to Priya, she would have digested it better. But because it's somebody who she sees as her op, she wasn't going to listen to anything that Yulia was saying. We literally saw it with Lorenzo. When Lorenzo said it, it's now sinking in for Priya. Girl, bye. Where am I? She says it's just the approach that Yulia has, and she thinks that she's the type of person who thinks before she speaks. Speaking of, they bring up the National Rail comment, and she's like, oh, that was totally out of character. Like, I was just frustrated, my emotions were heightened. We've been in here for a long time. You can ask anybody. You can ask anybody when you're in here for so long. You're just so disoriented. But I thought you just said you think before you speak. You didn't like Yulia's approach because she just speaks whatever's, first on her mind without thinking it through. You think before you speak. That sounds to me like anything you say, you've made an educated decision and you've said, yep, this is worth saying. So because of that, Priya, we do have to judge you more harshly. But anyways, she says she was completely in the wrong for saying that. She was emotional and she was just exhausted by the process. Aiden says he thinks that Priya truly understands him, but she says, then why don't we have a deeper connection? Girl, if you're going to keep bringing this whole thing up, why are we even if he's going to say something and you're like, okay, but then why don't you like me? Okay, but then why? Okay, but then why? Something is telling you, don't be in this situation. Why are you forcing it? I really don't understand. Ethan says that he's right to say that Priya and Aiden won't last, even sitting beside them. He was like, yeah, I got love for y'all, but it's not going nowhere. I'm shy. He thinks Aiden had no other choice in the villa, so that's why it is working between them. But Aiden says that they'll be better on the outside because there's no outside noise. There's literally the most outside noise on the outside. somebody in the audience was like, well, it's only going to get louder from here. He's like, no, but what I mean is like, we won't have opinions all the time. But you will. Okay, let's move on. Priya says she's happy that she's getting her feet rubbed and her eggs cracked. So she's enjoying this connection with Aiden right now. If people don't know, getting your eggs cracked means they're having sex. Priya still denounces the fact that she's a game player, but Ty speaks up. He's like, you literally gave us your gameplay. Casey backs him up as well. Like, girl, we heard you. She says that whole 13 seasons thing was misconstrued. She was just trying to say that Casa People and Bombshells tend to not last long. I think that used to be the case definitely in earlier seasons, but in later seasons, we've seen Casa People and Bombshells go out and win the damn show. Tony even spoke up and she was like, hi, I won the show. She was a bombshell. Cash was a Casa boy. Like, girl, the game has changed. So I don't know what you've been studying, but in later seasons, it's not just original people who really like make it to the end. That hasn't been a thing for a long time. And you know that because the OGs always have this moment like, wow, look at us. There's only X amount of number left of us. It's now a rarity. It's typically people who are coming in after the fact who last to the end. Then the panelists think that Lorenzo going exclusive was strategic. Casey says it was authentic because he didn't say, I love you. I'm like, I don't know. I still think it's strategic. Everyone says that Simba truly has turned things around and they all believe in his growth. Tony says those are her winners, Simba and Angelista. I love the endorsement from Tony. Tommy says he's been babies. Tommy is actually disgusting. Tommy is actually disgusting. I think it comes with the name. Do we have a new name trope on my channel? Oh my gosh. If you are new here, we don't like Chris's, we don't like Mitch's, and we don't like Steven's. We might have to add Tommy's because the Tommy in the villa and the Tommy outside the villa, it's giving shady, shady, shady. So Tommy's gonna say he has been having to babysit Tina. She tries to sneak into his room. He blames her for trying to hook up, like, oh, she's down, she's so down, but that's not going anywhere. That's not growing. I only see her as a friend, blah, blah, blah. Like, he just sounded so nasty and grimy. I wish Tina was in the room because that was so disgusting for him to speak about her in that way. He apparently leaked footage of Namibia and Tina having some kind of beef. Namibia's like, listen, if anything, this guy's a clout chaser, blah, 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 whatever. And he's like, well, why would you have a public conversation? It was a private conversation that he posted online and made public. So Namibia's like, listen, Tina and I, we spoke recently. We've hashed it out. But that guy, I don't fool with him. And she shouldn't. Tommy's disgusting. Charlene is confused why Mika and Jasmine apologized, but then questioned why they should apologize for their behavior, which is interesting because they were upset at Charlene for bringing things up at the Aftersun when they thought that she had accepted their apology. Well, if you're turning around and basically nullifying your apology, then she then has the right to be like, well, clearly the apology wasn't real, so I'm not going to accept it. Opie says that it was a bit embarrassing to have his balloon popped by Tyla. You know, he was out here making fun of Simba, but here he goes on a different version of Pop the Balloon anyways. He says his DMs are open. He's not getting much play. I think that's on him. Then we have Ellie, who says that the Wright Murphy brother is still in the villa and she and Finley have met each other's family. He will be joining her in her hometown, but he still has a lot of work to do regarding winning her friends over. I will be honest, guys, when I saw them on Tyreek's stream, they did look a little bit cute. They did look a little bit cute. I still question Finley. Greatly I do, but hey man, anybody's capable of change. Maybe he will. All the best. Then audience questions go towards anybody, the panelists, the eliminated islanders. Priya says that she now cares about the Aftersun superfans and she thinks that her comments, you know, speaking down on them just came from an emotional place. That's going to be her excuse for everything. Oh, I'm just emotional. Aiden says that he wished he kissed Robin and jokes about looking for her. Priya didn't like that. Ethan says that he wished he got to pursue Alicia. At first I was thinking, well, they didn't have a chance because they came in together, but after the first round of recouplings, I think they could have. I don't think Alicia would have been interested. I know for sure they're going to ask Alicia that tomorrow, though. Opie slid into Yaz's DMs. Seems like Yaz either didn't see it or didn't want to answer. I don't know. And Casey says he's going to slide into Aiden's DMs because they're literally the same person in different fonts. Joe says that he has nothing left to ask Opie because Opie has been on every podcast, and that's why he hasn't been on Joe's podcast. I think he just doesn't want to get Opie on the podcast. That's my personal opinion. The Big Three say that if they would recruit anyone, it would be Ellie, but Opie heard himself. So he was like, oh, hey, I'm in. You're not in. They said Ellie. Charlene says that Christmas would be awkward, so she will not be trying to crack on with Aiden. Tommy does shoot his shot, though. He's like, you can come over to mine for Christmas. Ew! Oh, he's such a bag. Like, oh, I can't. Aiden says that everyone's invited to Christmas. So, Charlene, if you do want to come, you can come. Priya looked so angry. She did not like that. There's so many things that Aiden did and said on After Sun that she did not like. And it's like, girl, why are you here? Why are you still trying to force things with this man? I don't know. Aiden is asked if he wanted Jasmine for himself. He says no. It was clear from the beginning that they were not compatible. And then lastly, Priya says she still doesn't understand why she was called a game player because she just isn't one. However, she can see how certain comments would have led Yulia to think that that was the case. She also refers it back to the clips that were shown. But again, Yulia had certain opinions before she even saw the clips. She only used those clips to further back up her arguments. But that's it for this season of After Suns, the first and last After Sun I reviewed on this channel. We will see what happens tomorrow. I'm contemplating going live, guys, because if it's final dates and whatever, I don't really see much excitement. I really don't. Maybe I'll put a poll. No, I won't. I'm too lazy. We'll see. Just keep an eye out for a live if I end up doing a live. Until then, as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.